Hello.
Hi, Christmas miracle.
Hi, Christmas miracle. I just realized that my sweatshirt matches my background, but here we are. Welcome to the final episode of Never Normal of 2020.
Do you believe it?
Can you believe we started doing this on September 8th?
No.
Yeah. So, audience, all four of you, we're culminating our best of so that we start off 2021 with a bang. Can you believe it's almost 2021?
It's crazy. Life is like if you made this into a script in 2019, if we made 2021 into a script.
You know what I just realized?
Nobody would believe it. They'd be like, this is so not.
Nobody. They'd be like, that's not even a realistic story.
Yeah.
But you know what I just realized? You know that whole saying, hindsight is 2020? Like next year, that's going to be a real thing. Hindsight really will be 2020.
That's so true.
How are you?
I'm good. Can you tell I'm in a little boy's room?
Why are you in a little boy's room? So Jackie got creepy at the end of 2020. Do tell. Let's open the floor to Jackie's creepy background.
This little boy kidnapped me.
This little boy kidnapped you?
No, my friend, my writing partner and friend, she rented a house for the holidays for she and I.
They give you a kid with that rental?
They gave me a child. No, I'm not staying in the child's room.
That's so fucking funny and creepy. Do I need to dim my light? I'm always like super white and overexposed.
But it's like a cozy room. I love it.
Oh, that's too much now?
Cozy house.
Sorry for the close-up on my face. Dun, dun, dun. Is that better or worse? Oh my God, what is that, a creepy baby hand? Oh my God, why is it picking your nose? So I figured we'd talk about 2020 today and how, because what the fuck? Like, really, 2020, just getting through 2020 honestly has been my 5-year plan. Like, I just stopped planning things out. That's my 5-year plan to get through 2020.
That's really funny. My 5-year plan is getting out of 2020. Can you shoot that? That's so funny.
I actually used it as our log line for this episode.
You did? Good.
Yeah. So I also have that thing, like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way out there, but I'm having this like apprehension about 2021. Like, I'm like sneaking into a room, like,
we gotta
come in. Is it safe?
Notice for real. Nobody can be like, this is my year. Like, you gotta like chill the hell out.
Yeah, that whole is anybody gonna make any like New Year's resolutions and
like no
whole thing?
Like life.
How can you even plan anything anymore after 2020? You know, it's just
right.
like, and 2020 was honestly not that horrific of a year for me. And sometimes I feel really guilty sharing that. Like I've really learned how to navigate the virtual platform, and I've had a lot of opportunities virtually. And I haven't needed to wear pants in a year, which is good for me. So
wow.
Fun. Yeah, I don't have pants on now. Like, literally every time I ever do a comedy show or do anything on Zoom, I just make sure that I'm just like, it's a 3/4 shot, and I just make sure I have a top on and I have sweatpants on all the time. And I'm like, I honestly haven't put a pair of jeans on and a belt or like any kind of real pants in the whole year, because I'm like, it's just this quadrant that matters.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I wore I'm so jealous of your coffee. I wore pants on Christmas.
I think I wore pants on Christmas too, actually, now that I think about it. But I still was just binge watching Christmas movies.
Oh, really?
I didn't do much.
I watched Dina Martina's Christmas special. Have you ever?
I love Dina Martina's.
So good. You got to watch it. It's so good.
I will do. I watched do you ever watch RuPaul's Drag Race? I'm sort of obsessed with Jinx Monsoon from season 5. Detox was in that season too. I love it. But she did a Christmas special too that I watched. It was
cool. Where was it? How could you watch?
I want to say Netflix or maybe
Hulu.
I'm trying to remember. Could be Netflix, could be Hulu.
Nice.
Yeah, comments. Let's pull up this comments feed now.
We gotta do a Christmas. Let's do a late Christmas special. After Christmas special.
Let's do a Christmas special in January.
Yeah, let's do it.
Don't think when we said we See yourself in 5 years? I don't think we thought we would all be here. Oh, true. Mike Kolosky, childhood bestie, by the way, used to live on my block. He lived on Burning Tree Lane. I'm totally giving your address away. And I lived in Turtle Cove Road, and it was like this circle block, and like we hung out all the time.
You can't just like throw out those street names and not.
Somebody told me your porn name was like the street you grew up on and your dog, and my dog's name was Riser, so my porn name would be Riser Turtle Cove. Go on.
Mine's Bambi LeGrand Terrace.
That's great, dude. I'm changing our name right now.
Riser Bambi LeGrand Terrace.
I was like, you can't even make that shit up, really. Riser Turtle Cove. And wait, Bambi what?
Bambi LeGrand Terrace.
Oh my God, Bambi LeGrand Terrace. What?
I think this Bambi LeGrand is good, right?
I like the terrace part. I don't know why.
Bambi LeGrand Terrace.
Bambi LeGrand Terrace. Because
I am Bambi
although
LeGrand.
I think Turtle Cove Road doesn't work. Like you just have to say Riser Turtle Cove. But the road fucks it up.
Yeah, Turtle Cove.
I'm doing a little product placement for the Christmas disposable cup at Starbucks, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I also manage Starbucks, right? And so these disposable cups are like the free incentive every year. But because of COVID, we can't actually use reusable cups. So we gave out all of these free usable cups to then tell the customer that they can't use them. And I was like, what's the fucking point? Like, people would come back and get refills, and like that was the whole deal. Is you got this cup, it was green, we didn't hurt the environment. You got a discount every time you brought back this cup and refilled it. So instead, all the employees just took them home because I'm like, we can't actually give them to the customers this year. So cheers.
I want one.
There's like 472 in my store right now.
All right. So
I'm exaggerating, but I'll send you one.
All right, send me one. Or we could do a distance walk, and you can give me one.
Let's do
and we'll film some stuff. Let's get it started in here. All right, so yeah, you were saying your best of. The same thing, like the virtual thing has been good. It's bad and good, but I'm excited to go to both. But I love that we can do, I mean, we're doing this right now. We never would have done this.
Ever. And it's so exciting because we're learning to like reinvent it. And for those of you watching, we're like working through the editing process. That little video, that 30-second video, I just learned how to do that today, where we're like the countdown to us beginning. Like, it's really fun to sort of navigate this virtual
platform. Yeah, I love it. It's so fun.
But it's slightly scary too, because I was in another important Zoom meeting this morning, and like my internet went out, and I'm like then trying to log in on my phone and activate my personal hotspot, and all of that stuff virtually scares me. Like this morning, it happened to be like a video consult for a doctor, but I'm like, when I'm doing a comedy show and my internet just like goes out, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like somebody just turned the lights off, like in a comedy club, and just being like, I'm out.
Yeah. Do you know how to do your hotspot? So you know how to do it?
I know how to do it now. That was a bit of a learning curve last week because I changed my plan, and I didn't realize that when I changed my plan, I deleted my personal hotspot. I didn't mean to do it.
Did you get your new phone? Did you get your new phone?
No, I didn't get a new phone because I'm upgrading with the iPad for this very reason too. I want to be able to do more of my virtual stuff. And even though I do have a laptop, it's not an Apple device. I'm trying to lean toward using more Mac stuff because I can AirDrop and whatever, but I'm not like in a place to buy a Mac laptop yet, you know? So I'm like, I was eligible for an upgrade either on a phone or I could get an iPad. So I decided to keep my iPhone 10, whatever, it's fine, and get the iPad instead, the new one.
Are you're AT&T, right?
Yeah.
Did you go to the store? Did you go into the store?
I did go into the store. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really weird too. Those little tables when you get your cell phone and you like sit across from a person to do the exchange. There is that big like glass panel now that cuts the table in half, but the panel goes through the center of the individual like two-top table. Like it's not like a large table. It's literally like a tiny little circle table like divided by this shield. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. Don't you guys think it's super weird still? I should have adjusted after a year, but still nothing.
There's no shoulds in baseball.
There's no shoulds in baseball. So Jackie, let's talk about best moment and worst moment of 2020. I mean, there are probably a lot of worst moments for all of us. And for those of us joining us, we want to hear your best and worst moments in the feed too. And if it's really awesome, we're going to feature it. We're going to run it across our screen like a banner.
Yeah, a beautiful, precious banner of love. Best and worst month. Worst for me was I had gotten a really great show that I had been trying to get forever, and I got booked, and it was like the rest of my life is easy from this point on.
Yes.
And it got canceled. Like I've been trying, like I was, so it's like accepting and moving on from that, and just having faith I'll get it again when everything goes back to normal. If that's
never normal, Jackie.
Never normal. Yeah, it doesn't go back to normal. I want to rephrase that, when everything's up and running, because it's not going to be the same as before when everything's up and running.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think some of it's going to benefit us, and then others, it's going to be like crazy, because I also feel like as an actor, sort of random aside, but like when I was trying to create my gratitude list of 2020 being a performer in this new thing. And, you know, I think for so many years, it's like in order to pursue a performing arts career, you either had to be in New York or LA. You couldn't really be anywhere else. And I think because things have moved to this virtual platform, it's becoming a more global industry. And like, I have friends that are in Paris, I have friends that are in Atlanta, I have friends that are in Minneapolis that are pursuing this acting thing because everything's done virtually now. And I think in a weird way, that's going to be a blessing, that like, as much as I love Los Angeles, for that to be the only hub. But the fact that, because when someone books a part, they'll go, like the production side being in New York and LA, I think makes sense. But when you book a role, you know, then you'd fly to either one of those cities. But like the audition process, the hustle, which really is, right, the pursuing of the acting is never the being on set. That's like the vacation. You book a job and you're like, woo! Yeah. It's the audition every day that really is the work of an actor, of a performer, right? It's like acquiring the job. And now you can virtually, everything's being done with these self-tape lights. And I don't think, as far as like the cost of brick and mortar to rent casting spaces, I think it's going to stay this way as far as the audition process. I think maybe final callbacks where they want people in the room, that once like society reopens up, they'll start to meet people live. But it was already starting to move toward that. But I think now it doesn't pigeonhole people to two locations, and they can kind of, I think it's the auditioning process, the preliminary audition process is going to stay virtual after this year. That's just my...
Yeah, there's another good point that my friend had. She said that she had watched like live theater before, and it's not good because the audience is there, so they're catering to the audience and the film, and the film you lose everything. But now that there's no audience, they're doing theater in a better way so that you can see theater in a beautiful way via Zoom now.
Yeah, that's really neat, because the close-ups and stuff that you can get in a theater.
Yeah. So now it's just, you're saying that it might go back to like where there is Broadway, but there's also a take for people that can't get to New York that can watch it that way.
Or also the financial accessibility. Not that I mean, I love Broadway. It was one of my favorite things about living in New York, but I think it broadens the audience and accessibility for people being able to see a Broadway show.
Right.
You know?
So that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a member of Actors Equity. I'm in the stage union. Like, I've done smaller off-Broadway. I've never been on Broadway myself, but like, I couldn't even get a ticket with my union discount to Hamilton. Like, I've never seen Hamilton because they were like $1,000 tickets. Like, honestly, there was a window there, or it was easier to get a gun in this country than tickets to Hamilton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck. Like, I don't know who can go to this show. But yeah. And that kind of bummed me out, because I'm thinking this is such an important show and people should be able to see it. And now that it's gone virtual, people are able actually to see it on YouTube. And they did like a Netflix, like Broadway's best of. And it's just giving people who want to be able to be introduced to it. Think about the young, poor kid that like wants to be in musical theater and just isn't ever getting access to musical theater because they can't afford it. Now they're able to like plant that artistic seed because things have gone virtual. And
Yeah,
so there are some like weird blessings, I think, with accessibility for sure.
absolutely. Yeah. My friend's son went as Hamilton for Halloween, whatever he could do with it, but he knows every single line to the songs and loves being able to, it's just beautiful for kids.
Yay.
For
Sorry, I
kids.
interrupted you because I read
Yeah,
that.
Hamilton is on Disney. Yeah. Thanks to it's so good. I saw it on Disney. So yeah, and that's where he saw it. So now he knows every line to it, and all the kids are just so in love with it. And it just is a whole new form of expression that they can have now, and a knowledge that they wouldn't have had.
Right.
So yeah, I love that. I love it, love it.
Totally, totally. I've been trying to think about that. I was talking to Jenny McNulty, who was like some of the good things that have come out of 2020, and she was like pet adoption, like there are some good things
Yeah,
because
that's
like pet adoption has gone up by like 50% because people have wanted some type of companion they wouldn't give COVID to, and so like animals are being fostered, and like that's sort of a beautiful thing that came out of this year.
definitely.
I think that's awesome. I mean, I live in a community where I'm not allowed to have an animal, but man, if I could foster a dog, I would be on that quickly, you know?
Maybe I should do
Totally.
it. And
Yeah, do it.
you
Be
can borrow it.
obsessive.
And you can borrow it.
Yay.
I'll foster a pit bull.
I used to have a pit bull boxer
I don't want a
with
pit
my
bull.
ex.
You did?
Hmm. She
Wow.
was the most docile, beautiful, like, she had a little bit of anxiety because she was a rescue. Like, she actually had no idea she was a pit bull. Like, we would take her for walks and cats would like jump off a fence and attack her. And we're like, Mandy, dude, you're a pit bull. Like, we had to give her a pep talk. Like, I don't know if you know this, but you're much freaking bigger than the cat. I need you to show up as a pit bull in this moment. Like,
Yeah.
she just didn't know. She was scared shitless of like tiny little animals. And
Oh,
I'm like, look at the mirror, girl. Look at the mirror. Come on, you're a pit bull.
Big dog, big poops. That's all I
Yeah.
know about.
Oh
I
man.
like people because everybody makes it look so fun to have animals, but I'm like, take an Insta of you cleaning up.
And it can get bad. I mean, I must say that it was like I hadn't had really, my ex and I were, that was the first time like I'd been in a relationship where like I had a pet, and there were some touch and go moments with the dog where it's nothing is worse than the dog like having diarrhea on a public street. I'm like in New York City in front of a cafe, and the dog like has diarrhea, and you can't pick up that poop, so you have to like abandon it and make an announcement to the people eating at the cafe, like, I'm gonna be back with a bucket of water. I can't actually scoop this up. I'm sorry. This is gross. I know you're trying to have fish tacos. This is fucking weird. I don't know why she shit right here. And I'm like explaining to people how I'm going to be back. And then as I'm walking away, I'm like, don't step on that I'm going to come back with a bucket. I'm not walking away. I'm not being that asshole that leaves it. But what am I supposed to do? Like, there was no picking it up,
Yeah.
Like, and our dog used to have this weird pride thing where she would pop a squat in front of people. Like, she
Mine too.
intentionally
Mine too. He would wait until there was somebody right there to be like, look at me.
Yeah, like, watch this. And I was like, what? Your entire world is your toilet, and you pick this moment in front of a cafe in Chelsea to be like, I'm gonna pop a squat.
Yeah, I was jealous. I'm like, I wish I was like, come on. Like, let me wait until somebody's here to do my business.
There was a comedian, and I forget who the comedian was, but I'm definitely stealing this. So I'm taking full responsibility for the fact that this is not my joke. But a comic made something about like, God, it's going to bother me who it is. But anyway, about how like aliens looking down at us must think like the dogs are totally in control.
Seinfeld. It was Seinfeld.
Is it Seinfeld? Okay.
Yeah. Like they think the dogs are the
because they're watching us like pick up their poop and stuff, and I'm like that is such a funny concept.
Yeah, like no, the dog is the ruler.
Like clearly the dog is the ruler.
But also another comic, I don't know who.
I know. I feel like some of a comic said it, and I can't remember for the life of me.
No, but it is Jerry Seinfeld that said that.
It was? Oh, okay.
Definitely. I know for sure. But there's another comic that talked about how he wished that they were like dogs where you poop up and after you just like run around like crazy, like so happy. Like that's really funny. Like my dog would be so happy after he poops.
That was, we should start doing that. Like, just
Yeah,
walk
like,
around the bathroom and be like,
woo!
"Woo!" I started doing this thing with my employees at Starbucks where I just give them a round of applause when they walk in for no other reason than their presence. And like, people really love it. Like, we all just want to be seen. Like literally
Yeah.
they just walk up for work and I'm like, Jackie Monahan, everybody! And I like announce it to the
Renee, you and I are soul friends because I used to manage a restaurant, a gastropub in West Hollywood, and I did the same thing. Every time people would come in, but I would applaud them, and people loved it. But then the owners had to talk with me and said I had to stop. That somebody complained that they didn't like the attention, and they were like, "Jackie, would you like to walk in a place and all the attention's on you?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I want."
It is really amazing how careful we have to be about this kind of stuff. Because speaking of comedians, I just recently watched Chelsea Handler's new special Evolution. Two things that are brilliant about it. She's brilliant, and I have just so much respect for her journey and also her storytelling. I feel like it's totally liberated me in writing this week because I'm very much a storyteller, and sometimes I'm apprehensive about writing because I'm like, I don't have set up punch, and so it's very much a storytelling piece. But at any rate, and there are a lot of serious elements. She talks about her brother dying and stuff, and so it's just that juxtaposition of comedy and life, and like, it's brilliant. But she shoots it, and I think it's in New Jersey. My guess it was in like Weehawken or Hoboken. I'm guessing because it's like on a pier, and it's shot outside. So she's like actually on the pier, like an outdoor wharf. And then there were just like a few like 4 top tables that were 6 feet apart. Like, she just shot it this year. So it's like this outdoor venue where it's not this packed crowd, and like, she talks a lot about being of service and not being able to sell out these tickets where like she could fill, because she could easily fill a massive theater, but it was about her being able to have some type of like special, put something out in the world where there were only, I think in total, like 50 people total in the audience, spaced out. So to have like a celebrity comic like that where her audience isn't filled, it was just sort of, it was humbling. It was sort of beautiful to watch because you kind of understood the why of her like honoring this whole thing. And but it also made me think outside the box, which, by the way, is the title of my first album. Okay, I snuck that in. But at any rate, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, thinking larger now that, like, we could still do those things on public platforms. Now, the difference is I wouldn't have to send thousands and thousands and thousands of people away. I probably only would have 50 people in my audience. But I could accommodate them. Good to know.
Yes. You could have more than that. You sell out.
I've sold out more than once in life. Yeah. Why do you think I slept with men in college? I can
You're
sell
so
out.
humble.
Oh, that's funny.
I didn't know you did that in college.
I did. In my active addiction, I used to do a lot of crazy things. Like,
you had to try it. You were drinking too. Yeah, you were addicted.
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to do a lot of shit. Yeah.
Now we're angels.
Now we're angels.
Lights are our halos.
Yeah, I don't know about halos because I also have moments where. Do you ever have moments in your sobriety where your behavior is so bad that you almost wish you could tell people you were loaded? Just because it makes more sense.
Yeah.
To have bad behavior.
I really, in the very beginning, I was still a super angel. Yeah. But now, like, if I say some things I've done, people are like, "Oh, when you were drinking," and I'm like, "No."
Yes. You're like, "No, I had years clean."
Nope, yesterday.
Yeah, that was 3 days ago. Yeah, it was. I do remember when I had 2 years clean, I had to take a DUI test because, honestly, I was tired as shit, and I veered off completely clean and sober, and I was just tired. I was opening at a Starbucks, and I went on the rumble strip, so it was like, and I got pulled over by a cop who thought I was drinking and driving. And I was on my way to Starbucks because I opened my store at like 3:30 in the morning or 4 in the morning or something like that. And so like, I'm on my way to work. It's 3 a.m. This guy thinks I'm drunk. And it was this like hilarious thing because I failed the test. Like, you have to say the alphabet and I failed it with years sober. And I'm like, this this test is fucking hard. But then they make you do the blow test, and clearly I had 0%. But the actual walking test where you recite the alphabet backwards, they make you do the alphabet backwards. I'm like, I can't do the alphabet backwards. You're definitely going to think I'm drunk right now.
I'm so nervous. How are you going to
I'm like, who knows how to do that sober? That's like a really fucked up, unfair test.
Yeah. Thank God you didn't drink mouthwash by accident.
I know. Yeah. If that was such a... Some things just don't make sense. You know, like
or
if you have dyslexia...
Or wake up and have tiramisu.
Tiramisu, that would have that. But also having like dyslexia as a kid and like filling out forms where they're like, do you have any issues or mental or whatever, and you have to I'm like, dyslexia, why does that have to be the hardest fucking word in the world to spell? Like, you realize dyslexia means I can't spell anything, and I spell it backwards. Like, why can't you like, if somebody who has dyslexia, they should just be like, pow, I have pow, you know what I mean? Like, they could just write that down. Like, dyslexia, who can... Like, I have a speech problem. I can't write anything down. I don't think I've ever used X in a sentence ever.
Right.
Is there an X in dyslexia?
I think so. That should be the name of your special dyslexia.
My dyslexia, which I don't even think I am dyslexic anymore. Like, here's the funny thing about growing up in the foster care system. They diagnose you with all kinds of shit that just isn't accurate. I was hyperactive. I had this disorder, that. They just, like, throw you a bunch of medication and stick you in a room, and they're like, come out when you're 18. Like, it's just... I'm like, I don't think I had any of these problems at all.
Right, that's funny. It would be funny to be dyslexia and then spelt backwards. Exlexida for yourself. Dyslexia, exlexida. I don't know. It's visually pleasing. Oh my God, I'm dying over the dog diarrhea. Everybody
the
is.
Highest commentary about life will happen here on Never Normal.
Yeah.
By the way, putting together our like best of, there are just moments where it is like, sometimes we're talking about like a higher power and turning our will in our life over to something larger than ourselves, and then other times we're talking about dogs shitting on a sidewalk, and we're just like, wait, how did that happen in the same 20 minutes?
Right. I can't wait to watch.
It's like, so then when my manager was like, what's your vlog about? And I'm like, God, how do we put that in one sentence? Because they're like, what do you talk about? I'm like, Hamilton being accessible to the poor, dogs shitting on sidewalks, and a higher power in sobriety. I don't know. Like, what do you say?
Like, the darkest stuff ever, but also
also higher power.
Being kidnapped by a child. My mom failed a sobriety test sober too. What? How?
It's so hard. Have you ever like tried to just go online and take the sobriety test? Like, these tests, all of these systems in place are just are not good. My roommate is Brazilian and is, going through citizenship stuff, and like, half the questions that they ask people trying to become American citizens, no American could ever answer. Like,
oh, that's so funny.
Born and raised in this country, and I'm like, I don't know. How can I help you? They're like, what's the answer to number 4? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm from Massachusetts. I'm a masshole, and I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. It's sad.
It is sad.
Or, what can you do? So, Jack, you're so cute.
You're
so
cute.
For New Year's? Have we talked about this yet? Oh, we kind of talked about this. But
what did we say?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you sitting there? House. Are you coming to my house?
I think I'm going to stay here because I'm opening my store the next morning. And here's the other thing about being sober. I don't really want to go to a party. It's not my thing. So I volunteered to open my store the following morning. So I kind of want to stay close. But
I'm doing I'm doing a show New Year's Eve and then New Year's Day. But nothing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, nothing spectacular. I'm not like, yay. I don't know.
I need to do another Facebook show. I'm like, I kind of miss doing more stand-up, but I've been in this gestation stage. Like, since I signed with a new management company, I'm trying to write my next special. And so, like, I'm in that moment, like when a musician comes out with a great album, they're like, why has it been 2 years since their next thing came out? And it's like, sometimes you need that space to just create. And I find if I perform too much when I'm also in the space where I'm trying to write something new, I don't know, it weirdly doesn't work for me. It's like I need a breather to go
Yeah,
into
I
like
hear you.
my chrysalis and create, you know? But then
Yeah.
I start to not get polished as a performer if I don't like still make myself get up there and hit stages and do some of my old content and resurrect. I also have old content that's technically old that no one's ever seen. Like when I shot for the special for Uproar, you know, I did like we actually physically shot for 90 minutes and then the thing's only 57 minutes long. So a lot more that I actually performed that night never made the
Oh,
special. So I'm
wow.
like, I don't want to get rid of that content.
Right,
Do you know what
yeah.
I mean?
Oh, you could
Because
use
it
it
was a little
again.
bit different. When I did my show at the Comedy Underground, it rounded out at an hour. But when I reshot it at the West Side Comedy Club, the one that actually made at Amazon, the booked slot for me that night was 90 minutes. So I did a 90-minute show. It's just Uproar's like, that's fine. It gives us more to edit and cut and paste. And so even though the agreement was only they make an hour, I'm like, I'd almost rather that. But then I didn't love everything that we chose toward the end. But that's why I'm going to do something new.
Are they still doing new albums right now?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Uproar, are you here? Are you guys producing?
Are you guys watching
content?
them?
Are you
Uproar, watch us.
Uproar, watch us. Uproar Entertainment is both Jackie and I's comedy record label, for those of you who are interested. They have a lot of other great comics too. I mean, nobody clearly as good as Jackie and I, but you know, that's fine.
Yeah. Honestly, we are the best. Well, Tamara's really good too.
Yeah. Should we briefly close out this episode by telling the story of how we reconnected through shooting our specials in Seattle?
Yeah, I was a baby.
I want you to tell it. I want to hear it from your perspective.
Okay, so I was choosing through record labels, and I was dating a woman who was very business minded. So she was cool and did all the assessing all the different labels, and then we met with Uproar. So she liked them. So she was helping me with that. But then when I did the filming, I was single again. Yay me. Woohoo! I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh yeah. So then I went by myself to get to film it, where I thought I was going to be going with her. Anyway, so you called me, or did you call me or text me?
I forget exactly how it unfolded.
Or did I hear about it and text you?
I feel like maybe you reached out to me, but
I think you reached out to me and you were like, hey, I'm here recording my album, and I know you're going to be here next time.
but I remember being surprised. I think I remember how it happened. So when I was like cleaning up and stuff, because there was a comic right before me that shot the weekend before me, because they hosted there was like a little, almost like an Airbnb type situation where each comic stayed at this place that filmed the week.
Like a comedy condo.
Yeah, like a comedy condo. So there had been a comic before me, and so I had bought some food and I was going to leave stuff behind, and I'd asked Uproar, like, do you know who the next comic is that's coming in? Because I had like tea left over and whatever, and I'm like, do I take it with me or should I leave it? And they were like, oh, Jackie Monahan's here next, and I was like, wait, what? Like literally you were coming there like right after I checked out, you were the next comic in line, and I was like, oh my god. And then that's when I reached out to you, like, holy shit, I didn't know you were with Uproar. I didn't know you were about to shoot your special there.
And I was just like, poor Rena, because I didn't leave you alone. I text you every 3 seconds because I was so concerned over what the conditions were and what to look forward to and what it was like. So I asked her 1,000 questions, and because I was so nervous recording it, I wanted everything to go perfect. I was like a bride beast or whatever, bridezilla over my own album. So I was asking you a million questions, and
I loved it though. I mean, it was like,
but you were so sweet. I was like, I love her. You were so sweet and calmed me down so much. You helped me so much.
I appreciated that. I was like, I felt like I didn't really know what I was walking into. So to be able to like impart that onto the next person was like, oh God, this would have been great to know. And then ultimately that footage was lost for me. That's why I refilmed the same special. It was sort of a bummer because I felt like my best work happened in Seattle. I was really,
I didn't know that they were recording it until the last minute. Did you know the
Oh,
whole time?
interesting. I did because I was working. Originally I was trying to self-produce my own thing when Uproar reached out to me. So having video content was really important for me when I made the deal. So like, I wanted to make sure that it was recorded, which is why it was such a bummer that my footage got lost. So they only had the audio, and so I just felt like, when I re-shot it at the West Side Comedy Theater, it was more scripted, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I wasn't absolutely in love with my special. I mean, grateful for the experience, but because I had all of these actual jokes and they were, they're tracks on the album, I had to replicate that because for everybody else, the comedy album and the visual part were the same thing.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah.
I didn't have flexibility to let go of certain jokes or allow for other jokes to come in or whatever. Like I had to
Right.
the same template. And, there was a lot of content where I was doing like fertility jokes about my ex, and my ex and I had already been broken up for a year, and I was saying it in present tense because those jokes were on the album, and so that was really weird because I'm like, usually I talk about what's happening in my life or something that's still, even if it hasn't currently happened, it's still relevant for me to talk about. And so like that experience had sort of been past tense for me at that point, and I didn't really want to be talking about it, but I kind of had to honor it. So it didn't feel like comedy the way that I was used to doing comedy when I reshot it in
Yeah.
LA. I mean, it was still a good experience, but it didn't feel like Seattle felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had an idea.
Oh, thanks, Tay, for watching my special.
Tay, thank you, Tay. Tay Briggs, we love you. Tay Briggs, we love you. Oh, so we said the best of was being able to be virtual everywhere. I don't think we have to say the worst of.
The worst of, no.
Oh, I said the worst of.
Maybe we should do like a clip of like where we completely drop like an outtakes version of Never Normal and then like the best moments. I could totally put that together too, where we do something like one of our cameras doesn't work or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Funny.
That's a great idea.
That's why I'm sort of navigating this little thing, experimenting with the 30-second clips, because I want to be able to do that too, like live clips. Even we could also do our regular comedy shows and bring that into this platform, where maybe you do a show where you like, StreamYard will only let you do 30-second clips. So it's perfect. Like if you have a 30-second clip, if something goes haywire or we want to interject it in the conversation, I can just play any 30-second clips. We'll just upload them into, like, it saves it in a bank.
I have a 30-second clip now. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, you'd have to send it to me, and then I don't know if I can upload it while we're live. I think I may have to do it.
Oh, I would have to send you it ahead of time.
Yeah, because then you have to upload it, and then it holds it. Once you've created that file folder, then during the live broadcast, I can pick the videos I want to show.
All right, we should do that every week. Have a 30-second clip each.
Well, I have a 30-second clip. I thought you said clip. I was like, oh, wow, who knew? You funny, girl. You funny.
You're the one that heard the wrong thing.
So I was like, what did she say? She was a 30-second what?
30-second. Ah.
Why is your face so much darker than mine? Like, I feel like
I don't have a ring light because I'm at my friend's.
But you do have a baby hand.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I really love that baby hand.
Me too. I need my own.
Well, I am dying to know what is let's just put it out there. I know we're not doing any goal setting for 2021, but let's just say, if goal setting was a thing like that we used to do, what would be like your one big goal? It could even be like an existential goal. It doesn't need to be a career goal. I'm
going to be so dorky. To be way more in my real self than my false self.
I love that.
To tip that way over, like to be in false self this much and true self, beyond. That would be my goal.
I think that's a great goal. I think one of my goals is this whole like beating myself up for like 2020 thinking about like turning 40 and what I had done, I was not emotionally as kind to myself as I needed to be. And so that's my goal for 2021, is to be more gentle on myself and like allow myself to keep taking the next right indicated action and stop like have better self-talk, like I just need to be, and having that dialogue with other people, because even when I do have proud moments of just how I've showed up for my life, I don't always share that. I'm very self-deprecating, and I worry what kind of like negative momentum that
creates. No more of
that.
I'm not even gonna allow you to go near that anymore. I think that a lot of people really compare themselves to like the American dream, what other people think is supposed to be, and with the pandemic. We're learning like the best thing in the world right now is to be single.
So like it really is. It keeps you centered on yourself. Sorry, I'm yawning. Yeah. It's been so nice to like, sure, companionship is also wonderful, but I'm just like, yeah, it took me a really long time to not need a companion. And I've been in relationship for like 22 years of my life.
Me too. And this is my first time. What are we?
I've been single for 2 years. It's like unheard of for me.
Me neither.
Since 2018, or at the beginning of 2019, the very beginning of 2019. But yeah, it's almost 2021, so it's like almost been 2 years.
It's beautiful because now I'm not going to sacrifice anything ever again, because I love being able to do whatever I want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
And I feel like that's like the most exciting thing. Like we're ahead of the game. I just feel like we both.
You have to screenshot this moment. I'm sorry. I'm only interrupting because as a visual, the baby hand over your mouth right now, I feel like if this were just a screenshot right now of Never Normal, this would be the perfect template for our show.
Do you know how to screenshot?
Not because I'm on my laptop. How do I do it on my laptop? And if I hold my phone up, then you'll see my phone.
Shift Command 4.
Can you do it? But I want the
baby hand. I don't know if I can do it with the hand. Hold on.
How do I do it?
All right, I got it.
Did you do it? You have to send those to me. Well, Never Normal peeps who are watching us. This is hi, Kendra. Hello. We're wrapping up for 2020. We will be back at the beginning of 2021 with the best of, and then we're going to launch into making 2021 the best virtual year ever.
Sorry, I'm just playing with the thing.
Kendra, did you get with Jackie putting the baby hand on her mouth?
Oh, Kendra, we love you. Thank you, Kendra. Kendra, high five. I need one of these. Where did I get one? Very exciting. Yeah, I want to help you. I want to talk to you further about. I guess we could talk about it now. Is just your self-talk, catching it every time you have a bad self-talk. You catch it, and then you got to triple it with positive affirmations. But
yeah, I realized that I can't always get rid of my negative thinking. The only thing I can do is just not give it my attention.
Exactly. So then I just think the awareness that sees it and knows it's not real, and then say, good job, Renee, because you caught it.
Yeah.
Good job, Renee. Good job, Renee. You caught it. And then you just keep saying it. Good job. Great. And then say other stuff. But catching it is where it's all out.
It's so important to not get. I had that moment this morning. I had an appointment with my new orthopedic surgeon, just a consultation. My insurance changed, yada, yada, yada. So I'm repeating a lot of information that I had to deal with last year when I had Blue Cross and yada, yada, yada. So, there was some of the diagnoses where it's it's leaning toward, I'm definitely going to need this spinal surgery. It's just like, here we are a year and a half later. I was supposed to have the surgery last year. I have a new MRI. It's just, my spine's still not doing great. And I think I've had some weird relief this year because I haven't been as physically active because of COVID. I was walking through New York City with a backpack on my back every single day. So I was exacerbating the injury. And so there's that part of me that I sort of had that illusion that it was getting better. But that's the whole point, is if I'm sedentary and I don't do anything, it doesn't hurt as much. But I still have this degenerative disorder. And if I ever want to get back to my active lifestyle, it does look like I'm going to have the surgery. But Right now, because of COVID, they're holding off on any surgery that's not like an emergency, you're about to die surgery, they're holding off on. And so it's very unlikely that I would even get the procedure probably until the end of 2021. And so I'm doing all of these physical therapy and acupuncture appointments and all this stuff that I was, making today. And, but my initial thing was like, oh my God, I thought I was getting better. And this negative talk of like, oh, you tried to be positive. Like it was this weird negative talk about my positivity where I'm like, you weren't being positive. You were being disillusioned and you're going to still need to do this and yada, yada, yada. And you thought you dodged a bullet and, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I thought, you know what, Renee, this is part of your experience. This is your story. Like we all have to overcome certain things. And I think this physical thing that I've had to overcome and like I'm on the beginning stages of again, that's sort of my warrior story. And like I get to embrace it and learn to like tell my story through comedy. And then I had this like joke where I'm like, when I initially get the procedure, I'll be wheelchair bound for 21 days, just post-op. And then I had this joke in my head where I thought it would be really funny to say that I was a sit-down comic and not a stand-up comic because I couldn't physically stand up for a week. And like, so at any rate, like I then started to create the momentum of what is the solution? How could I make a joke about this? How could I, like lean into it instead of having this resistance, just lean into that, and like, but it was like I caught it as soon as I could watch myself being like, you're being negative about this surgery. Like this is your warrior story, Renee. This is what's going to make you like courageous and free and like, it's okay. Lean in, and I think it's scary because I'm basically like, in retrospect, I had that whole journey from last year, which was really like culminated in my insurance company refusing to do the surgery. So like I just feel like I'm repeating, it's like Groundhog Year all over again, right? Yeah, exactly what I did last year all over again with a new insurance company. So it's crazy.
That's annoying. And I feel like it's important to grieve that and have compassion for yourself, but you like not have self-pity. It's so hard. That's a fine line of what it is, but it's hard not to have self-pity on that because it sucks.
But I also think sometimes it's like hugging your inner child too, like it is scary to think that like I'm 40 years old and they have to cut open my spine. I'm also an athlete, like that is scary. And I don't think it's negative by being like, whoa, like that's.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's not
how's my quality of life? Yeah, positivity is hard. It's hard to find, like we have to. Yeah. Being happy is not always easy. And I think sometimes there's that illusion that happiness equals easy. Sometimes being happy, it's much easier for me to be miserable. I mean, God knows when I was in my active addiction, it was so much easier for me to be high and check out of life, but I wasn't happy. And like, I was dying inside, both physically and my spirit, so yeah. It is harder. It is actually harder to be positive initially until you kind of get those
it's a muscle working. To build, and once you build the muscle, it's hard at first because you're used to the familiarity, especially if you've grown up with parents that aren't completely there for you. It's a familiarity to just be like, oh, I'm not supposed to have parents there for me, but we know we are, but we do have our higher power is our parent, and that higher power is always there for us. So it's training ourselves to go to that, but we're trained to easily give up on that. To be like, no, I'm not meant to have this stuff. I'm not meant to have it easy. And you are, and it's going to be easier and easier and easier.
But just getting to the other side of it, I think like part of the surrender is, like, speaking of like athletics, I felt this way when I was starting doing triathlons. Like now I love doing triathlons, but when you're first learning to run, build the endurance for a couple of miles, like it sucks. And the way that I became a really great runner is when somebody said, Renee, for the first 30 days that you're trying to learn how to run 2 miles, it's going to suck. It's going to suck, but eventually your muscles get it. You start to love it. Your heart, you start to have muscle memory. And then it becomes like my most favorite thing in the world to do was to run. But I had to get no acceptance that it was going to suck initially until it became a habit. Same thing with playing guitar. Like when I first learned how to play guitar and I had to develop the calluses on my fingers and it hurt to pluck the instrument, it was not fun to play guitar.
Yeah.
And not being able to be present in the song because I was thinking about where my fingers were and is my arm up and my elbow and I was getting cramps in my forearm and I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like none of it was automatic. It was so cerebral. And I was like, this is why no one plays this instrument. But once I realized that, like, it's okay. Like, it's going to take a little while. And I'm still not this avid musician, but I play enough chords now that where I get inspired, I can just, like, pick up my guitar and futz around with it. And it does bring me joy now. But
beautiful.
Like, before
it's beautiful.
Trapping. Yeah.
Renee, my inner child's trying to come out.
Your inner one. Oh my God, your inner child's coming out. Everybody, Jackie Monahan. Your inner child is coming out. Jackie, I love the shit out of you. Let's end the broadcast, but hang tight for a few minutes and we'll powwow next steps for Never Normal 2021. Thank you for all of us that came out and supported us this year. This was like our creative birth child talk show. Didn't really know what it was going to look like this year. So I appreciate you guys just being here and like having a dialogue with us for an hour on a Tuesday. Fuck it, right? It's been fun. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Stay safe.
Happy New Year. We love you. Never Normal. And Renee, it's beautiful what you just said. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Warrior.
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 I am a warrior. I actually have a song about that on guitar.
I am a warrior. Shooting at the wall of heart. Bang, bang.
I can't wait to Potsdam either. I'm doing SUNY Potsdam on February 5th. And Tay is a student coordinator there. And it's going to be awesome. I'm very excited for it. All right. I will see you guys all soon. Happy New Year. Dun, dun, dun.
Happy sliding into New Year.